Hi everyone! This is Sam, one of Judgment Boy's narrators. I'm here today to share the truth behind Chara. Yep, Chara, the so-called villain of Undertale, the one supposedly responsible for the No Mercy run and the deaths of all our beloved friends. Right? Well, no. There's a huge misconception about their actions, and I'm here today to clear all that up using evidence from the game. Before I start this video, I'd just like to give a little shout out to Amino Apps, who recently created an Undertale Amino app for mobile, created specifically for fans to meet fans and discuss their love for the game. You can share art, theories, like this one, cosplays, chats, blogs, roleplays, that, and so much more. It's a super cool place to meet new people and have more fun in the fanbase, especially if you don't tend to use other social networking sites or you just want a more Undertale-based place to chat. It has a ton of features to help you get started in the community, like featured pages and newsfeed, and hey, Judgment Boy's on there too. Go check it out and download it completely free. Have fun, everyone! Now, on to the theory. A huge part of this theory is revolved around the basically canon concept that Chara is the narrator for the game. This doesn't really need much arguing, considering the narrator literally says, "It's you. Despite everything, it's still you. Still just you, Frisk. And finally, it's me, Chara," when you check the mirror in respective parts of the story. The narrator also knows details about both monsters and items that neither we nor Frisk would know, e.g. they can translate Frocket's speech and recall origins of everything in Asgore's home, where they lived. There's a lot of fun you can have learning about Chara through this theory. They are optimistic in a pacifist run and pessimistic in the No Mercy. They talk endlessly about cycles and journeys, and even express guilt and sadness at their past. There are even many hints to their fun-spirited personality in there too. There's a lot more evidence for this theory. It's practically canon, and helps give us a lot of the info we need to decipher Chara. Let's start off with a little info about Chara's backstory. We don't know much, as both Frisk and Chara's past are left mostly ambiguous, but there are clues in the game we can piece together to tell their stories. Chara climbed Mount Ebott. They tripped and fell down into the land of monsters. Some may see this incident as an accident, but later on, Asriel asks Frisk why they climbed the mountain. He alludes to some sadly suicidal urges on Frisk's side, and then goes on immediately to say that Chara climbed Mount Ebott for not a very happy reason. Furthermore, when you check the faded ribbon in the ruins, the narration, Chara, reads, "If you're cuter, monsters won't hit you as hard." That pretty much speaks for itself, but if you need a little more of a nudge, it's a pretty heavy indicator that Chara was abused on the surface by humans. This is further evidenced by the fact that Toriel has dulled down all the tools in her home and hidden all the knives. And we know that Chara meant no ill harm to the Dreamer family, more on that later, so it's implied that Chara actually planned on using these tools on themselves. From all this, we can gather that Chara was not in the best place in their life when they fell. They obviously climbed the mountain to commit suicide, and most likely from abuse from humans. This explains their distaste for the human race, but when they fell down, they were taken in by the loving dreamers who gave them a home and treated them with love and kindness. A lot of people may think that Chara was simply playing along and pretending to care about the dreamers, but that's far from the truth. When you check around New Home in a No Mercy run, Chara will find snippets from their past that Asgore kept around the house. A pink hand-knit sweater reading Mr. Dad Guy, macaroni art of a flower, described as "For King Dad," a drawing of a golden flower by Chara's bed. All of these were made by Chara for their family. If they were made by Asriel, they would have just said Dad. Chara poured their love for their family into these gifts. They were abused by humans, and the only people who had ever showed kindness to them were the Dreamers. Why wouldn't they love them back? No one ever said Chara hated monsters. This leads into their plan, the one to gather 6 human souls. Many interpret this plan as some carefully crafted scheme to kill all humans, but it's really quite the opposite. The plan starts when Chara and Asriel decide to make a butterscotch pie for Asgore. They confuse cups of butter for buttercups, and use those in the recipe instead. And before you say this was intentional on Chara's behalf, we're talking about a possibly 10-year-old here who liked Star Wars and dogs and stupid puns. They didn't even know the flowers were poisonous until after the incident. Otherwise, they could have gone through with the plan far before. The pie poisons Asgore, and he gets very sick. Asriel comments on this later by saying that he should have laughed it off like Chara did. Oh, so this means Chara enjoyed Asgore's pain, right? Wrong! There's a ludicrous amount of evidence in the game that points to laughing being used by numerous characters as a coping mechanism for pain. For instance, Toriel laughs when you kill her. Sans tells jokes despite being depressed. The villagers in Snowdon laugh away their sorrows. Snowdrake's father describes his sad life, laughs, and then says, "That's not funny." Laughing at Snowdrake's mother's amalgamate prompts the narration from Chara, "You laugh and keep laughing. It's so funny you can't stop. Tears run down your face." What? You didn't do that? If you laugh again, Chara says, "But it's not funny." Heckling the amalgamate yields the narration, "You look horrible. Why are you even alive?" What? You didn't say that? Checking the royal guards in the No Mercy run directly references a Japanese novel about adoptive family and suicide. The passage reads, "I see two lovers staring over the edge of the cauldron of hell. Do they both wish for death? That means their love will end in hell." I couldn't stop laughing. This is a direct quote from the Japanese novel Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. It is written in a style similar to Chara's speech style, and it includes, among other things, tea, flowers, knives, death, suicide, and a character who has transitioned from male to female. It also includes ambiguous familial relationships and the idea that family is not necessarily linked to one's blood. Asriel also laughs when he's about to die. Mettaton explicitly says, "My poor love, I'm so filled with grief, I can't stop laughing," after laughing about Frisk almost dying. Even Undine laughs when her body is slowly fading away after being cut in half. Also, check out my gospel. They have countless references to putting on a lighthearted exterior so people won't worry about them, and talk about being alone and scared of someone coming. They're a mime after all. They literally mimic Chara. I think that's about enough evidence to confidently say that Chara didn't enjoy Asgore's pain when he was accidentally poisoned. Chara really was just laughing off the pain, trying to make light of a traumatic situation to cope. This is a symptom highly found in mentally ill people. Moving on with their plan, once Chara realized that buttercups were poisonous, they had an idea. Monsters knew that a human soul combined with a monster soul would be powerful enough to cross the barrier, but not to break it. Now, if Chara only wanted to cross the barrier to kill humans, they could have easily just killed one of the dreamers and taken their soul, right? But they didn't. Instead, they discussed the plan with Asriel and proceeded to poison themselves with buttercups, an excruciatingly painful way to die. Symptoms include bloody diarrhea, excessive salivation, colic, and severe blistering of the mouth. They willingly put themselves through this in order to spare their family, and by extension, free all monsters from the underground. The plan was that when Chara died from poisoning, Asriel would absorb their soul, cross the barrier, gather 6 human souls, and return to break it, freeing monsters. At first glance, when listening to the tapes in the True Lab, it may sound like Chara is manipulating Asriel into the plan, but upon closer examination, Asriel is totally fine with it. He agrees to the plan, knowing fully well that he would have to kill 6 humans in order for it to succeed. He's of course a little concerned, but he agrees, realizing they'd be able to free all monsters together. The only time he truly hesitated was when he realized how much pain Chara was in. He cared about them. They were his closest siblings, and seeing them suffering on their deathbed, being the only person to know that it was all intentional and not just some sickness, it was a lot for Asriel to deal with, but he kept going with it, from his own will, and continued with the plan. Narration throughout the game indicates that no one, human nor monster, could have ever predicted what would happen when a monster absorbed a human soul. It had never happened before, and no one knew what to expect. So when Asriel absorbed Chara's soul, they didn't know that power would be split between them. So Chara picked up their dead body and carried it to the surface. When humans saw this, they blindly assumed the monster had killed the human and immediately attacked. Chara had known they would attack, and wanted to show Asriel the true nature of humans, that they really are cruel and attack things they don't understand. Asriel was dying, he was severely wounded, and the only way for him to survive would be to fight back. Only then did Chara urge him to kill more humans. It was the only way for him to survive. Chara didn't want their best friend to die for nothing. So they tried to use their power to fight back against the humans. They were trying to protect him, and they were filled with bad feelings towards the humans after being abused by them. No wonder. But Asriel refused, picked up Chara's body, and turned back. He passed away and became Flowey, while Chara remained dead but semi-conscious in their body. Toriel took them back and buried them at the entrance to the mountain, where golden flowers bloomed from the seeds still stuck to Chara's dead body. And this